The pandemic's impact on local businesses and city revenues is a major concern for the candidates running for Palm Desert District 1. So if elected, what do they plan to do about it? I spoke today with incumbent Susan Marie Weber and her opponent, Karina Quintanilla. Susan Marie and Karina, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Please give a brief description of yourselves and why you're running for city council. Susan Marie, since you're the incumbent, let's start with you.
Thank you. Well, one of the reasons I'm running for city council is to continue the programs that we've been working on. You're probably familiar with our Envision Palm Desert that we did a few years ago, where we defined the next 20 to 30 years of our city. That's the first time it had been done in many, many years. So it's kind of exciting. And as you can imagine, we had 100 participants in our city that stepped up to say, here's what we want our city to be like. I've lived here since 1980, so this is my city. This is where I've lived such a long time, and it's very important that we continue these plans. I'm all about education. I have taught, and I still teach when I work with all my clients. It's all about education. So I'm very proud of our city that we have so much education here with College of the Desert and Cal State. And my goal is also to bring in as many people from our city to get involved in what's going on in city council. A lot of them know that a city council exists. They know that a city exists, but they don't realize that they can step up and participate by being involved in committees and commissions. And that has been my goal for the last 8 years. Every time I meet somebody, I say, let's get you on one of the committees and commissions and get you involved.
Karina.
The main issues that are important to me are public health, education. We need economic recovery, and that boils down to a couple of different issues. I am an educator myself. I have worked within higher education, and currently I'm working at Think Together. So I'm working directly with the families that are struggling with education and distance learning through the pandemic. And I know that we are all very eager to get back to some sort of normal, but I think that without having the proper support and leadership in place, and leadership that respects the experts such as Dr. Ruiz, and I'm very proud to have his endorsement, and medical experts like Dr. Ruiz and economic experts, and we need to be able to listen to them to save lives and save money. So I'm very passionate about making sure that the District 1 has fair representation. That's why it was very important to me to sue the city to be able to get districts. And so we're only 2 districts, but we need to be 5, and that's going to be part of what I'm representing. And I've been meeting with a lot of neighbors and knocking on doors, and it's been a wonderful experience for them to say, you know, it's great to have city council coming to us. And that's part of what I'm hoping to bring, is to keep it local. And a lot of the neighbors that I've spoken to are mentioning that some of the issues that they have been continuously presenting to the council go back to even before Envision Palm Desert, to the master plan that was adopted in 2013. So I'm meeting with some of those neighbors. Actually, I've got a Zoom meeting tomorrow morning with them. So I'm very eager to see the continued engagement, and not just by telling people come to the meetings, but reaching out to them and letting them know, how can I help you? How can I serve you?
All right. Let me ask you, ladies, what are the top 3 issues affecting Palm Desert? And if elected, how do you plan to address those issues? Susan Marie.
Thank you. The top 3 issues right now, I think, are business is number 1. And as you can imagine, we've been working with our businesses since we've been working with our businesses ever since our city began, because our businesses are very, very important to us. As you know, we get most of our income from our hotel tax and from our sales tax. So when our businesses are suffering, so does our city. And one of the things we started doing immediately after the pandemic was reaching out to them. You may have seen they've got their little signs up, we're open, and whatever else that we can do to help them with that, advertising and things of that nature. And one of the things we did was also reach out to give them money, because money was one of the things that turned them around. And I think that one of the things that's most significant about our city is our staff. And businesses could get help from staff, just like the public can always get help from staff. In terms of when they were applying for all these other loans, it's a little overwhelming. If you ever seen the paperwork on all the loans that the state was giving and that the federal government was giving, it's a little overwhelming. So our staff reached out to help all of our businesses complete the documentation for that. The other issues in our city, I think, are housing, and we've been exemplary in our housing so far, but we're still trying to deal with the housing issue, which apparently is not unique to Palm Desert. Apparently it's going on all over the place. And it's a difficult subject to deal with because it's not a simple solution. It's not very simple at all. And the other thing, if actually I can only think of the top two issues in our city right now that we're focused on because of this pandemic. It's changed how we do business in our city so significantly that pretty much that's kind of what we're focusing on right now is how can we help our businesses.
Okay, Karina.
I believe that we have a couple of different issues that are pending, and we definitely need to have economic recovery. And for me, that means that in order to have a healthy economy, we have to have a healthy workforce. And that means different things to different people. But when I speak to my friends that work at the Palm Desert Mall and they're sharing that there is way beyond the 25% capacity that they're supposed to have, that puts a lot of people at risk. When we don't have clear signage, when we drive around the cities across the Coachella Valley, we see that Palm Springs has done an amazing job with keeping the public mask campaign. And so that's a very critical issue that we need to let shoppers and visitors know that Palm Desert is safe and cares about their well-being. I'm concerned that when I go walk around the Civic Center Park, I see too many people without masks. And I think that the lack of reminders are a big deal. You know, we can all forget to when we go out of our car, we get halfway to the door, we see the sign and we remember and go back. And I think that without some clear signage, it just encourages people to think, oh, it's no big deal. And we get more and more people out, we get them closer and closer on the walkways, and it does become an issue. And again, we need to listen to the health experts. We also need to consider the fact that we are looking at diversifying our economy outside of tourism. And for me, that means really being able to grow Cal State. And where we know that the next time the Cal State system is ready to look at a Palm Desert and assess our viability, we need to have that public housing, not the public housing, the affordable housing in place because our students and our faculty will need to be there. And so there's a lot of ways that it can be mitigated and we can keep our costs down through project labor agreements. So there are a lot of things that we can do where I think that maybe the current council has been dragging their feet a little bit and looking at only the renovations on El Paseo. Again, so many neighbors are telling me that they feel that they are unheard. So districting continues to be an issue. As I said, we've got to 2 districts, and one of my very first actions will be to move to end the general election in favor of district elections.